something that was said around the time of Liverpool making the purchase. We're in almost quite organically become quite 4-4-2 here, which is sort of useful as it's come through. We did that deliberately. Was the plan. I think the interesting thing for me with Isak, in terms of having seen him with the eyes, looked at some of the numbers, and what we've seen from Ekitike so far as well, and also looked at some numbers and some diagrams around that as well from his time at Frankfurt, is both are footballers. I think why it could be interesting to see, almost what you said before about Brighton, it could be interesting to see if Liverpool are prepared from time to time, and I wondered if we might see it in 10-minute patches, i.e. something like if Liverpool feel comfortable in a game and they've started Ekitike, maybe there's 10 minutes where Ekitike and Isak are both on the pitch at the same time before then Ekitike gets subbed on 70. Maybe the change happens 60 to 70 and we just have a little look. But if you might see two, and off the basis of the fact that we feel comfortable that they can both come in here, because we know that they can both explode into here. And I wonder if you might see that for a period, or if we might see Ekitike go left. Liverpool have only got 4 forward options, and one of them is Mo Salah, and it's reasonable to think he might come here, but he's not going to come much further than that at this stage of his career. He might come this far in as a starting position, but he's not going to go more central than that. So, you know, Liverpool will need to find the way to be able to rotate between Isak, Ekitike and Gakpo, and I think they'll be looking to do it across these next 7 games, whilst also getting Isak up to speed.
Totally. I mean, you've got scenario 1 is that you go, look, 100-minute games, 3 games a week. The Gakpo-Diaz solution from the first third of last season, which was almost one of you can play 65, 70 minutes. The other one's my finisher. I might reverse that round for the midweek game, and then I've got a decision to make. And ideally, if you've both played the equivalent of 100 minutes, he can pretty much pick whoever he wants, subject to illness, form, whatever. And that's a great position to be in. So he may well take the view. Scenario 1 is, well, great, you know, if they're both ready and available, let's pretend Burnley, Madrid and Everton's miles in the future. He might have gone, well, I'll start Hugo on Saturday, bring Alexander on. Against Madrid, I'll start Alexander, bring Hugo on, and then I can make a decision for Everton based on form, fitness and whatever. And it might even be I'll do the same, but just one starts, one finishes. If I'm chasing the game, I've got the option of having 2. Second scenario is that Salah gets 34 league goals last season, right in that? I don't think that's total. I think it's 34 league. Now, Cody Gakpo gets...
No, I think
34 total.
34 total.
Cody Gakpo gets 10, but I think he gets 16 in all competitions.
Yeah.
And then Luis Diaz gets 13, okay? I think the argument you can make, though, is that whoever was playing left wing would have defo broke 20.
Yeah.
When you look at Luis Diaz's numbers from the left wing. And maybe you could argue should have been near a 25 pushing. And what we see quite a lot, I'll use the Newcastle game as a reference point. In the second half, poor Hugo just gets bypassed, which is mad when he scores with the first kick of the game. But it's almost like everyone forgot that that's what he does. I joke because Dan highlighted this last year to us very early on in Arne Slot's reign, and something we did reference a lot on review, where Salah will come in, hit the back post, Cody Gakpo. Cody Gakpo comes in, they look to bypass centre-backs, have Mo Salah coming in. And the amount of times you see, Manchester City is a perfect example, Gakpo at the back post. The amount of times Salah anywhere from byline to here is looking to feed balls in between the centre-backs, over them to this back stick for Cody Gakpo coming, especially with the height advantage. But Cody's doing it. Now, against Newcastle, in when we should have really made more of territory, the man advantage, put the game completely to bed. Salah and Gakpo are just not executing those passes and crosses very well. There's 4 opportunities where they make a bit of a mess of it. Poor Hugo's making runs going.
Why is this always over my head?
I have scored, you know. So there might be, it's interesting, you might play Alexander here, and the pitch to Hugo might be, look, against certain opposition, you've got more chance. This sounds ridiculous, but you might have, this role might have scored 25 to 30 goals last year. This role wouldn't have. And I know that, especially when Núñez was playing the role, maybe when Luis Diaz was playing the role, there might have been an argument that maybe, say, Darwin's there, you go, well, if we have someone better than Darwin in that role, we get more numbers. Yeah, but I don't think you're getting those kind of numbers or that, because I don't think the attack was geared to create.
Yeah.
That wasn't the fulcrum of the attack. The fulcrum was here, and then plan B is winger to winger. So for Hugo, if Hugo plays on the left, and if you think about Luis Diaz playing out here, he's played central for Liverpool as a 9. Cody Gakpo, his first role here was almost like baby Firmino. Having someone who is a central forward, who's adept in wide areas, coming in as a finisher here, that's quite a good pitch to Hugo. Now, what you've got to get lucky with if you're on a slot is the first time you go, Hugo here, Alexander here, you need him to bag. And then you go, did you like that? And he goes, I love that. That's fantastic. More of that. What you don't need is the opposition having the game of their lives and Hugo being stood here helping Kirkes, being a screener on long throws and turning to the bench at half-time, I hate this. What's going on? I don't like this. So you need a little bit of luck in that kind of a role, and we've already referenced the defensive work Cody Gakpo has to do. So that's another option. And then the third one, as you referenced there, is a bit like the Brighton role in that we saw last season Diaz and Szoboszlai in them roles, and then neither of them are traditional Kenny Dalglish, Peter Beardsley, Matt Letizia. They're not silky, Florian Wirtz like in that role. Without being unkind to them, you could get the ball into them. They're strong enough to hold it up, keep it neat and tidy, spin stuff around the corner, and if they can beat the man, you're not catching them. There's one thing.
And go to crash in the box.
And this is the key thing. Let's move these centre mids out the way. Really, the Brighton concept of having two centre forwards, like say Welbeck and Ferguson, and getting them to drop in, leaving the wingers high, is if the centre backs stay, because they're like, we're not having this, we're staying where we are, thanks, we'll go zonal and we'll worry about it when you get the ball. They'll drift into these local pockets, keep the wingers really high, and they'll look to get it into
and wide. Yeah.
So Isak and Hugo are good enough. As again, if you had Darwin Núñez there, you might not be too worried about that. Hugo and Alexander Isak can get the ball here and hurt teams, but the amount of teams that man-to-man press, both on the halfway line and even in deeper blocks, you imagine they're further up the pitch. Do you want a foot race against both of them? I mean, you might have one centre-back that's quick enough to keep up with both, but there's not many teams with two centre-backs.
Well, a good example is you keep mentioning Brighton, when we talk about this, the flip side of Brighton is that's Lewis Dunk. That's Van Hecker, but that's Lewis Dunk. Yeah. And if you're saying, well, we can drop it into a little area, and then if you've got passing ability, the likes of McAllister's, the likes of even Van Dijk's.
Well, drop them deeper to illustrate it even further. If Liverpool are building out and you've got a Brighton side really looking to squeeze man-to-man press, they're locking on. If these two come in short looking for the ball and the centre-backs go, we'll man-to-man mark you, we're more than happy, we're locking on. You only have to get the ball into any combination of wide areas, and the minute you're on the break, they've gone.
I hope you're enjoying this free show at the moment. Loads of excellent, exciting stuff on the Anfield app. If you want to be part of the whole thing, you can download the Anfield app and go from there. Or you can subscribe via the YouTube membership as well for video-only content and other bits and pieces. We love doing these shows. We love that you watch them. So come, be part of the journey with us.